We wanted to see the Rancor on the loose in the city and just rampaging. What does that look like? Is it something everybody dreams of? Being a child and watching Return of the Jedi, you think, I want to animate that thing just going nuts. And then we also found out that Boba Fett would ride it. It's like, really? Boba Fett? The first time, obviously, I saw the Rancor on screen was Return of the Jedi. I would have been 13, I think, at the time. And I was sitting in my hometown cinema, my mind just blown, watching this thing. And then the Rancor came on, and I thought it was the most scary thing I'd ever seen, this monster. I mean, just the way it looked, the way it moved, the drool coming out of its mouth. I was like, I've never seen anything like that before. And then it started eating people. And you're like, oh my God, what is going on? That was the only time we saw it until we read the script on Book of Boba Fett. And we went, oh my God, we're going to do the Rancor. And they're like, you're going to do the Rancor. Originally, they did the Rancor with a puppet. And Phil Tippett, who is a stop motion animator, a very famous stop motion animator, he puppeteered the Rancor. And so we were looking at that and thinking, wow, it was puppeteered. How can we do the CG version of that? Can we build a puppet? Can we do this? Can we do that? So all these things go through your mind. And then, of course, we talked to John, obviously, about it. And we're saying, what can we do? And he said, why don't you just call Phil Tippett up and talk to him about it? And we're like, oh, yeah, we can totally do that, can't we? And so we call Phil Tippett up and we have one of these Zoom calls. And he would say things, oh, my God, we built this puppet. And and the only way to put had my hand up its ass, one hand up its ass, and my hand, and the hand was in its mouth, and I was biting these guys, and then and then I had the rods in one hand, and another guy was doing the feet, and and we're trying to cram ourselves into this small space, and we were watching this little monitor, just trying to line up the two, and we kept on missing the head, and and all these great stories about just how they did it, and we were hilarious. We really did base it off the puppet that he had and try to honor that as much as possible. So the one in Boba Fett, CG one, is very, very faithful to the original Return of the Jedi, much more than any other sort of recreation out there so far.
They're quite peaceful and less threatened.
We had a lot of close-ups of the Rancor, and that would be a really hard thing to do in CG. And the actors needed to ride it. People need to put their heads in its mouth. It chomps on Mando's Beskar. So we had to build a full-size head. I went down on set and saw that thing, and it was just amazing. Seeing a full-size, fully painted drool coming out of its mouth, fully articulated. It's on a motion base, and it can move really quickly. And all of its faces, remote control and operated and everything, was incredible. When you see that, you go, wow, that looks great. As something I've learned on Star Wars films, you follow the puppeteer's lead. Even droids, the puppeteers bring so much life and character into them. You let them do their thing. And then you tie into all of that with CG after the fact. So obviously we shot with that full-size head on the back lot with Boba Fett riding it and Mando, jumping on the back of it and trying to wrestle it also. We shot as much as we physically could with that. And then the rest of the body we filled out with CG. So we had to match move in the computer, the actual head of the on-set Rancor, and then replace the bits that weren't actually in the model, its arms, its shoulders. We had to put that in CG and do a seamless blend. That's tough to do that kind of work. Obviously, in Return of the Jedi, he eats the Gamorrean guards. So we got to eat somebody, And we did that thing where he comes up and he brings one of the pikes with the gun, and you think he's going to eat him. And then he doesn't. He looks at him and he throws him away, and you go, oh, I thought he was going to eat him. But he does actually eat somebody as well. So we did want to do the eating part of it, because that's so iconic when he bites into that guard in Return of the Jedi. It's so disturbing. Like, oh my God. The moment between Grogu and the Rancor and the idea of him putting him to sleep with the Force was something that, we talked about a lot. We talked about that a lot with John, and we thought about, how that tender moment worked. The two creatures are a much different scale. Imagine if we had a CG Rancor and a puppet, Baby Yoda. It would be really tough to work out the framing and everything. But because you have two puppets, you've got two things to physically frame on. They could get the camera and the lensing right and everything. It adds to that sweet moment of the two of them connecting. And then, of course, when the baby puts its hand on the Rancor's face and caresses it, that's such a sweet moment that John came up with. It's like, let's have the two connect. The baby saying to the Rancor, it's okay, don't worry, it's okay. People are really looking at each other on set and going, wow, this is going to be a tearjerker, it's great.